Still in France today with another French cheese. And somehow I think this is turning into Cheese Week again. Let's see. Imported from France, this is Joan of Arc since 1918, Roquefort, one of my favorite cheeses. This one right here is readily available in grocery stores, not hard to find. Relatively inexpensive for the quality, I believe. This is a 3.5 ounce package, and it was supposed to be $13, but I got a markdown on it and got it for $5. And I'll tell you how I did that here in a minute. Now, I've done 3 cheese weeks on this channel. The first two were intentional. The third one, it just ended up happening once I realized I was more than half of a week in only tasting cheeses. Now, the challenge of that is to not waste cheese, therefore come up with a number of recipes that use a lot of cheese. And I've been doing that this week by making small batch tests of macaroni and cheese. Now, to ramp this thing up a little bit, I'm going to use this right here. This right here is called Togarashizoku Onikara pepper, and it's also known as demon spicy. It is extra hot. What it is, it's a blend of really pungent chili peppers, and the whole intention is to provide an intense spicy kick. This is made by House Foods, and I picked this up in Japan about a year ago. I actually got 2 bottles because this is one of my favorites. The spiciness is really just a sharp heat blast, but it has a rich depth of flavor. And I'm going to be pairing it with this here. This is Hy-Vee Southern California Black Sage Honey, which is somewhat rare. This bottle was about $30, but a little of it goes a long way. There's people that actually collect that honey when it's available for honey collections. Yes, there are honey collectors. Now let's take a look at the front of the package here. This is mostly, well, it looks like it's all in French. Roquefort looks like it says of a guarantee of the original quality. And then over here on the other side of the package, protected denomination of origin. Okay, so it's a PDO cheese. Now let's take a look at the emblem up here to the upper left of the package. That I presume is Joan of Arc. Now, who is Joan of Arc? We'll take a look at that. That's a must. That must be asked when trying this cheese. So let's take a look at the back of the package here. Joan of Arc Roquefort cheese. It is distributed by Saputo Cheese Company Incorporated, and that right there, here, let's zoom in on that a little bit more. This cheese is actually made in France. Saputo does make some French cheeses for marketing in the inside of the U.S., but this one here actually is from France. Looking at the ingredients, it is sheep's milk, salt, cheese cultures, enzymes, and Penicillium roqueforti. And I'm always looking for sodium and nutritional information, and it seems like with a salty blue cheese like this, it gets to the point where it really doesn't matter, but I do like to know. This is high, 380 milligrams. A serving size is 1 ounce or 28 grams. And of course, there's 3.5 servings in this package. Now, once I got to opening it, it was immediately pungent, filled the kitchen with the smell of blue cheese. And it's really, really gooey and sticky. This cheese is truly spoonable. In fact, I'm going to be tasting it with a spoon. I'm going to taste it by itself and then with the said hot honey, where I'm going to make hot honey by adding chili pepper of my choice to the honey. As you can see right here, with the front edge getting really thin, it's very hard to get this out of the package. I used a really sharp knife cutting around the edges, but it's hard to get this out of the package all as one piece because the bottom edge gets really gooey. And it's equally hard to cut this into portion sizes because it just wants to fall apart completely. And then right here is where I have added the the sage honey from Southern California, and then, of course, the Togarashizoku Onikara, Japanese demon pepper. So I'm going to probably get a kick of spice. I should. Now, let's look at who Joan of Arc is. Joan of Arc lived from 1412 to 1431. Wow, that's short. She was known as the Maid of Orleans, and she was a teenage peasant girl who became a military leader and a national heroine of France during the Hundred-Year War. She had a divine calling at age 13. Joan began hearing voices and visions of Saint Michael, Saint Margaret, and Saint Catherine, whom she believed were sent by God to instruct her to drive the English out of France and crown the rightful heir, Charles VII. She was a military leader despite having no training, and she convinced Charles VII to let her lead an army in 1429. And she famously led the siege of Orleans in just 9 days, which was a turning point that shifted the war's momentum in the favor of France. And then she was coronated by Charles VII on July 17th, 1429. And then she was captured and put to trial in 1430. And then, what? Okay, she was executed at age 19, and she was burned at the stake. What? Okay. I think I had read about this before, and then she was exonerated 25 years later after her death by order of the Pope and given sainthood. For symbolism, today she's the patron saint of France, soldiers and prisoners, and she's a symbol of courage, faith, and national identity. But that's interesting. I'm surprised. I guess it's reasonable to say that Joan of Arc really doesn't have anything to do with this cheese. But wow. Okay, so let's get down to tasting this. It's just absolutely massive Roquefort on the nose, as you might expect. And let's just get down to it with a spoon here. Let's not get cheese in the keyboard. That's what this looks like. Joan of Arc Roquefort cheese from France. And then I'm going to try it with California honey and Japanese demon pepper. It's just all blue cheese all over the place. Earthiness. I'm almost picking up dill. All right, let's see what this one tastes like. This is, absolutely crazy. I remember the first time I tasted blue cheese. It wasn't one of these. It was a much lower grade, I'm sure. It would have been in the 1970s, and I think my dad put me up to it. And I did not like blue cheese. But as the years went by and I got interested in cheese tasting, my palate started to cooperate with my desires, and I absolutely love blue cheese. Okay, so here we go. This is the crazy part. California black sage honey and Japanese demon spicy Togarashizoku Onikara pepper. And here is what that looks like. Okay, I'm getting the honey and the chili on the nose. Let's see. Okay, I probably could have used a little bit less honey, but the honey is balancing out the savage saltiness of this, and this has truly created umami. It is hot, and I knew that with this pepper. I use I use this pepper all the time particularly on eggs. I never run out, excuse me, I never run out of it. Even though you can't buy it in the US, I always get enough of it in Japan. And this is absolutely savory, a spicy, just punch to the palate of hot pepper, which is almost choking me up. So this is absolutely excellent. How would I rate this cheese? You know, it's mass produced. I think you can find it at, you may be able to find it at Walmart. I think I might have seen it there. I have seen it at HEB in Texas. Um, and this is a pretty common one. This is a good way to get into blue cheese. Start with a Roquefort, and you're going to immediately understand what a Roquefort means. It's absolutely nailed. And I will just give this one a thumbs up because I don't really know how to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. I haven't had that many recent comparisons. I have tried some other French Roqueforts in the past where I believe, for me personally, the ones that are slightly harder and not as gooey as this is seemed to be more to my own personal liking. So on a scale of 1 to 5, this is absolutely not a 5, which would mean average. This is far north of a 5, like in 7, 8 range, and it's readily available. So if it sounds like something that you might enjoy, give it a shot. One of my favorite uses for blue cheese is on watermelon salad. Take de-seeded cubed watermelons, put on balsamic vinegar, salt, lime juice, cilantro, and thin, de-ribbed, and de-seeded sliced serrano peppers, and your blue cheese. Now that makes for an absolutely wicked salad. I'll have to make one of these on here someday. Okay, so that's been it for today with Joan of Arc Roquefort cheese from France with Southern California honey, black sage honey, and the Japanese demon spicy Togarashizoku Onikara pepper. If you like videos like this, be sure to subscribe. I enjoy doing them, and there's more to come. In fact, tomorrow, another French cheese, because I think I'm going to do it again and just go with it and end up wrapping up Cheese Week number 4 because I love cheese. Enjoy your cheese. Peace out from San Francisco. Bye.